Some stories break you, some heal you. But here at My 90s Love Story, we're here to fill your heart. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the story. Eh, hello? Could I order a plate of fried rice? I'd been selling fried rice on Maple Street for almost a month, and polite customers weren't rare. But a man who was both polite and had a voice that nice made me lift my head to look at the person across the stall. He was tall, in a black suit that fit him perfectly, pressed and sharp, giving off the quiet air of a man who had made it. In this corner of the city, he made my little fried rice cart look brighter all at once. Summer was almost here, though, and most people on the street were already in short sleeves. Wasn't this polished city boy hot? If you want to show off a good build, I thought, you don't actually have to wear anything at all. My eyes kept drifting upward. Oh, a handsome face, a noble bearing, striking looks. Wait, for a moment my blood seemed to run backward. Strip away the maturity, and every line of this young man's face matched exactly the boy from my memory. My heart slammed out of rhythm, and I ducked my head fast. Even though he didn't recognize me, I still wanted to cover my face and run. Who wants the crush of her school days to see her in an apron, spatula in hand, hawking fried rice on the street? I'd barely raised a hand when that warm spring breeze voice, Miles's voice, landed in my ears again. "Are you tired? Do you want to rest for a bit?" Across the meter of stall between us, concern showed in his deep dark eyes, exactly like the first time we'd met. The corners of my own eyes went hot. I pulled my gaze away and looked at the crowd lined up behind him, and all at once I felt calm. Why should I be afraid of him seeing me? These days, I was the fried rice beauty, famous all over town. As everyone knows, quitting a job feels wonderful, but finding a new one is misery. After interviewing at more than a dozen companies without a single offer I liked, I was about to head back to my hometown when I ran into an older woman who ran a fried rice cart, also packing up to go home. At first I figured we were in the same boat. Then she hung up a stall for sale sign, sighed, and said, "It's hard. Took me 3 years of frying rice to finally save enough for a new house. 3 years, and she could afford a home." I looked down at the job I'd been grinding at for my old boss. 3 years, and I couldn't afford a bathroom, let alone a house. On the spot, I pulled her sign off the cart and waved a hand. "I'll take it over." I'd forgotten one thing, though. I knew how to fry rice, but I was slow. The customers waiting looked impatient. Just as I decided my fried rice career would end in disaster, a passerby saw people standing in line and stopped, too. And in a few short minutes, my frying still no faster, more and more people gathered. Someone photographed the strange little scene and put it online. So in my very first week selling fried rice, I got famous. The kind netizens even gave me a nickname that actually sounded pretty, the Fried Rice Beauty. And every day, crowds came just to check in. I was a little uneasy about becoming an internet sensation, but honestly, who in this world turns down money? If things kept trending this way, in less than a year, I might just become a beautiful, wealthy girl, marry my prince, and climb to the peak of life together with him. So what if Miles was in a sharp suit, while I, June Whittaker, dressed plain? He still had to stand in line to help push me up to that peak. Who was better than whom, really? My sense of inferiority melted away with the smoke. I fired up the stove like a pro, tossed the wok, and answered him coolly. "New here? A few bowls of rice and you're already worn out. Extra egg, extra ham, or extra pork?" He glanced at me and lowered his eyes. The streetlight threw a faint shadow across his thick lashes, and his expression was hard to read. "The simplest add-on is fine." "Hungry?" "Maybe." He didn't even know if he was hungry. He was probably lightheaded from standing in line. Looking at this guy who clearly only ate at Michelin-starred restaurants, I couldn't figure out why he'd squeeze into my smoky little sidewalk stall. I didn't say much more. I just decided to fry his plate fast. Lucky for me, I'd fried well over 1,000 bowls by now, so my speed had improved a lot. I finished, and I'd accidentally made a bit too much. The box wasn't big enough, so I pressed the rice down tight with my chopsticks. Just then, I felt those cool eyes across from me. He smiled slightly, maybe happy to finally taste the famous fried rice. I packed it up and handed it over. $10. He took the heavy box, pulled out his phone, opened his payment app, and suddenly went very slow, as if he didn't want to pay. I looked at him suspicious. That suit looked expensive. Surely he had $10. There were people still waiting behind him. As much as part of me wanted to relive old times, if others started copying him, then what? I turned him down at once. Small business, no credit. He froze, then finally smiled, not the least bit bothered, and briskly scanned to pay, though still slowly, his face a little hesitant. There, sent it. Did you get it? When it comes through, I'll get a notification. He nodded, like he was mulling something over. Cash for goods, plain and simple. And yet, for some reason, I felt a small ache. This whole fame thing had been completely unplanned, just like the way I'd come to like Miles. Pure coincidence. He was a year ahead of me, top of his class, gorgeous, good-natured, from a good family, the most famous golden boy in the whole school. I was an ordinary, nameless girl who knew exactly where she stood and never had illusions about the school's princes. Until one day, a basketball came flying out of the court and hit us both as we passed by. Luckily, I fell onto the grass beside the path and wasn't hurt. Unluckily, the lunchbox in my hand went flying, and the rice I just bought spilled out, sailed up into the air, and rained down all over me. An ooh of laughter went up from the court not far off. If I'd been a bystander, I probably wouldn't have been able to hold back a laugh at such a pathetic sight either. Sadly, I was the very unlucky main character of it. Leaves of vegetables blocked my view, so I couldn't see how ridiculous I looked. But I could feel it perfectly from the laughter no one bothered to hide. When you're young, your skin is thin, and I was so embarrassed I wanted to cry. I was brushing the greens off my head, ready to flee, when a shadow fell over me. A tall figure crouched down in front of me. The young man held out a handkerchief. New, never used. "You don't mind, do you?" His voice was like a breeze off the mountains, and it instantly soothed my panicked heart. I looked up along the handkerchief and met his clear, bright eyes. Miles held it out patiently, his face worried. "Are you hurt anywhere? Can you stand?" The wind lifted his hair, and just like that, I fell. And because of that flutter I'd never felt before, I got flustered, scrambled to my feet, blurted out a thank you, and hurried off. I never told a soul about it. But from that day on, all my girlish daydreams had a specific target. His name was Miles Archer. I started searching the campus for the shape of him, and I discovered a few patterns, hoping to catch more chances to see him. Every day at 6:20, he'd leave the boys' dormitory for morning class, passing the locust tree outside the girls' dorm. When the locust flowers bloomed, he'd stop and look up at them, while I watched him without a shred of shame through the little side window of my room. At 7:15, at noon, and at 6:30 in the evening, he'd appear in the dining hall. He usually went to counter 3, and I'd go to counter 2. And if I was lucky, we'd line up along the same straight line. And if I ignored the 2 meters between us, we were standing shoulder to shoulder. During certain breaks, he'd carry a stack of workbooks to the math department office, or a stack of graded tests from the office back to class. Our classroom sat on the route to that office, and the distance from our front door to our back door was 8 meters, which meant I could watch him for 7 whole seconds. I carefully counted every moment that might involve him, using stolen glances to feel his presence. I never once hoped for our paths to actually cross. until the midterm award ceremony, when he spoke as the representative of the top students. He wore the simplest outfit, a white shirt, black slacks, and still he was brighter than the sun. Hidden in the crowd, I watched him quietly, and a new idea took shape in me. June Whitaker, work hard. Come first in your class. Become someone who can stand on that stage. Become someone he can actually see. So I started to study, and study hard. But for someone born without talent, coming in first isn't easy, especially when the top student of the whole grade, Zoe Marsh, was so brilliant. By the second semester of 11th grade, I'd only clawed my way to second in the grade, and he was already about to graduate. So what if I wasn't first? Second was fine too, wasn't it? At last, I gathered all my courage and decided I'd confess to him after his college entrance exams. I stood waiting outside the exam hall, running the confession over and over in my head. Finally, the bell rang, and I watched Miles stride out, confident. I was about to run to him, and then I saw Zoe Marsh walking toward him with a bouquet of flowers. He took the flowers and affectionately patted her on the head. My feet stopped mid-step. Of course, I'd seen the two of them together around campus before. How had I never thought they were a couple? That same summer, my father was transferred for work and processed my school transfer along with it. After that, I never saw Miles again. If only I hadn't run that day. If only I'd taken his handkerchief. If only I'd been the one who came first. If only. If only. For a long time afterward, I kept spinning those what-ifs, until time carried us onto separate tracks, and we grew up. Counting from 11th grade, Miles and I had gone 8 years without meeting. I'd assumed he had become the past, and only now did I understand that some people can never become the past. He finished paying and, for some reason, didn't hurry off. And with my head full of scheming, I didn't hurry him along either. The customer behind him couldn't take it. When the person in front is done buying, let the rest of us buy. Miles seemed to snap awake. Sorry. He apologized to the man and stepped away. Wait. I realized that if he left, we'd dissolve back into the sea of strangers, and after this we might never meet again. A fierce, sudden emotion rose up in me, and without thinking, I called out to stop him. When he turned to look at me, I only got more flustered. What is it? Was it my imagination, or was there something like anticipation in his eyes? The people in line watched me, curious. I didn't dare come out and say I wanted his contact information, but saying nothing would be too strange. Then an idea struck. I reached into the cart and pulled out the big water bottle I'd bought on my afternoon walk and announced it formally. Congratulations, you're the 1,999th customer of this stall. Here's your lucky prize. Miles frowned. Oh, I'd forgotten. The bottle was the pastel pink cherry blossom edition. Well, if the customer didn't want it, it had still cost me over $100. He smiled and took the bottle from my hand. I'm honored to be your lucky customer. Thank you. There were so many words in that sentence. So why did I feel like he'd put weight on the word your? It's nothing, I said quickly, still debating whether to use a lucky customer's must register their information excuse to get his number, when the payment notification on my phone chimed. My payment alerts were usually a minute or two late, but this one seemed off in another way entirely. Your account has received $1,000. 1,000? The most recent payer was Miles Archer. I looked over at him. He didn't seem to realize he'd paid the wrong amount, and seeing me look, he actually seemed pleased. Pleased? Please wait a moment. I just got the wrong amount. I explained to the customer behind him while telling Miles to double-check what he'd just sent. He didn't seem to care much, but he followed my advice and glanced at his phone, then said offhand, "Oh, I accidentally added 2 zeros. How does anyone make that mistake? Let me open the app, pull up your receiving code, and I'll refund you." His long fingers tapped lightly against the edge of his phone, and the corner of his mouth curved in a way I couldn't quite read. My app's acting up. It won't accept transfers. If it's not too much trouble, why don't we add each other first? He said it like a question, but the QR code was already open and held out in front of me. Suddenly, I remembered the sentence of his I'd cut off earlier. Maybe he hadn't been trying to run a tab at all. Maybe he'd wanted to add me. Then again, I'd probably fried so much rice the oil smoke had cooked my brain. Miles Archer wanting to add me? Impossible. Even if I were a beauty queen reborn, the first wasn't sure I'd have that much pull. I didn't overthink it. I scanned the code fast. I'll pay you back later, no rush. The screen switched, and Miles accepted the request almost within a single second. Looking at the newly added friend, I felt a little thrill. If I hadn't still had rice to fry in a crowd waiting, I might have shouted it to the sky. Mom, I just added the golden boy of my dreams. But wait, my display name. I closed up half an hour earlier than usual, and the moment I got home, opened my own profile. I hesitated over whether to change the display name I'd used for years. Once in a lifetime. But Miles had no idea I knew him. Changing it now would basically be a confession. Besides, if a display name could give someone away, then I might as well guess that Miles secretly liked me too. Since his name was See You Again. Calm, I opened our chat and transferred him $990. Then I sat there tapping at the message box, not sure what to say to get a real back and forth going. An idea came to me, and I typed out an imaginary conversation in my head. Hello, Mr. Archer. Here's the change from your overpayment today. Then he'd say, wait, do we know each other? And I'd say, yes, we both went to Westbrook High. Really? What a coincidence. Being old schoolmates. Holding my phone, I couldn't stop the corner of my mouth from lifting at the little fantasy. But before I could even send my message, Miles replied. He declined the refund. No need to pay it back. I was thrown. I deleted what I'd typed and sent a puzzled little emoji instead. He didn't answer that. He asked a question of his own. Will you still be frying rice on Maple Street tomorrow? Yes, I sent. Then consider it my deposit. I'll see you tomorrow. I froze. Was he saying he'd come support my stall again tomorrow? What time do you open? 5:30 in the evening until 11 at night. Good. See you tomorrow then. Because of that, see you tomorrow, I couldn't sleep a wink all night. The next day, I even went to the salon to get my hair washed and styled, and I put on a pretty dress I hadn't worn in ages. By 7:30 in the evening, I spotted him at the end of the line, and my heart lifted. I quietly threw in an extra topping for every customer, and just as quietly picked up my frying pace. Damn it, why did I have to be an internet sensation? Why were there so many people in line today? I fried and glanced into the crowd now and then. Miles suddenly turned to talk to the girl behind him, and the two of them looked like they knew each other. From that far away, I couldn't make out her face, but my sixth sense told me their connection wasn't a simple one. My heart sank. As the line crept closer, I finally saw her clearly. It was Zoe Marsh. They were still together. Like a heavy stone had been tied to it, my heart dropped straight to the bottom of a lake. I pulled myself together to keep frying. Miles reached the front. Today he was dressed casually, which made him look a few shades fresher, and he curved his lips at me. Good evening, I forced a smile. What'll you have? Before he could answer, Zoe tilted her head and waved at me. Hey, did you used to go to Westbrook High? At first, I'd thought that if Miles had feelings for me, letting him know we were old classmates might make him feel we shared some deep fate and warm up to me even more. But now, with him still standing there beside Zoe, there was really no need for that. I smiled. I graduated from Ashland High. Something flashed in Miles's eyes, and he stared straight at me. Ashland? That's right. I was a little nervous, but I really had finished my last year and graduated from Ashland High. Zoe still didn't look convinced. She tugged at Miles's sleeve. Don't you think she looks exactly like someone? Miles, thinking who knows what, didn't answer her. I didn't want to keep the topic going, so I asked, "What kind of fried rice would you two like?" Zoe looked at Miles. "Egg fried rice, then." Is there anything in this world more bitter than one-sided love? Yes, there is. It's frying rice for the sweetheart of the person you secretly love. I was about to pour oil into the pan when Miles leaned in from across the cart, tilting his head so his eyes were level with mine. Hold on. I have a slightly improper request. He probably wanted to fry the rice himself for Zoe. He asked whether I'd let him. Tsk, tsk, using my stall to put on a display of love. That was really too much. But who am I? I'm someone who loves helping other people succeed. Of course. Good, thank you. He came around to my side, and I quickly gave up my spot. Then, out of nowhere, Miles produced a cup of milk tea and held it out to me, like a little gift for a lucky customer. I hope you'll accept it. This man was too polite. Zoe looked at him, then at me, and frowned. Was this jealousy, watching your boyfriend buy milk tea for another girl? For a second, I hesitated. Miles looked like he was about to say something more, but Zoe, seeing I hadn't taken it, urged me on. Take it. I took it, almost like I was claiming a prize. I'm the one who recommended that flavor to him. It's really good. Something felt off. I thanked him, took the milk tea, and quietly sat down on the plastic stool beside the cart. Quietly, I watched Miles crack eggs with practiced ease, toss the wok, add the seasoning, every movement elegant and refined, and utterly unhurried. And suddenly, I remembered all those years I'd studied so hard because of him in high school. Even after we were separated, I'd never stopped pushing myself to become a better person. All so that one day I might meet him again at some high peak. I'd never imagined that when we finally met again. Either I'd be the one frying rice, or he would be. This absurd scene made me realize that all my old striving seemed to have lost its meaning. I turned my face away. In the line behind us, someone had a phone out taking sneaky photos. Someone was staring, entranced. And someone had already given Miles a nickname of his own, the Fried Rice Prince. And then... Oh my gosh, the Fried Rice Beauty and the Fried Rice Prince. Now that's a match made in heaven. You can eat whatever rice you want, but you can't just pair people up however you please. I pushed the gloom aside for the moment and snuck a look at Zoe. Thankfully, all of her attention was on Miles. She was showering him with praise. You can do this too? When did you learn? What made you decide to pick this up? I yanked the straw out of my milk tea and jabbed it hard through the lid. Did she even have to ask? Obviously so he could cook for the woman he loved. You, someday, in the future. Miles answered gently, and as he said it, he shot me a glance. What are you looking at me for? The plate of fried rice was done in no time. Miles picked up the box. A little envious, I glanced at Zoe. Somehow his fried rice looked even better than mine. I swallowed and took a couple of sips of milk tea to cover it up. And I was just about to stand when Miles brought the box over to me instead, handing me a pair of chopsticks. Taste it for me? Huh? Zoe eagerly raised her hand. Let me try it. Miles glanced at her coolly. You don't like fried rice. Zoe was displeased. When did I ever say I don't like fried rice? When you were 3. Zoe went quiet for a moment, then suddenly laughed. You even remember something I said at 3 years old? Fine, I don't like it. That only made it more bitter for me. So the two of them were childhood sweethearts. Miles pushed the box toward me again. I hurriedly grabbed my spatula and stirred the rice in the pan. Sorry, I still have fried rice to sell. I'll fry it for you. You just taste a little bit, all right? Miles frying rice for me? How bizarre. The customer behind him seemed to be firmly in favor of the idea. Boss, I wouldn't mind at all if this handsome guy fried mine. But I would. I glanced at Miles holding the box, then at Zoe, who smiled at me. Try it and see how it tastes. See if anything needs improving. Since I'd started this business, I'd never once tasted my own cooking. Now the aroma really was tempting. Hungry, I scooped up a spoonful and put it in my mouth. Miles watched me, full of expectation. Well, I gave my honest verdict. It's really good. The corner of Miles's mouth lifted. Then can I sell fried rice with you? Right then, a car horn blared from the street and drowned out part of what he'd said. He was saying he wanted to sell fried rice like me, wasn't he? He wanted to be my coworker? But looking at him, young and full of potential, he surely didn't need to earn his living selling fried rice. You're good looking. I support you, said the same customer from before. I rubbed my forehead and stuck the spoon into the box, deciding to treat the whole thing as Miles joking around. And what fried rice would you like? The customer, seeing there was no chance of getting a plate cooked by Miles, wasn't disappointed at all. Pork and egg fried rice, easy going as you like. Miles fell silent and stepped off to the side. So, what about my question? You seriously want to sell fried rice? Why not? I glanced at Zoe. She seemed to see nothing wrong with her boyfriend wanting to sell fried rice. She was absorbed in a game on her phone. Whatever Miles's reason was, I couldn't exactly stop a person from earning money, could I? Cooking as I answered, I said, Sure, can you tell me where you plan to sell? Miles looked at me, all innocence. Wherever you sell, of course. That's where I'll sell. Oh, good grief. So he wanted to compete with me. That night, after I'd packed up the stall, I decided I really ought to have a clear talk with Miles. Yes, anyone was free to sell whatever they liked these days. But with his looks and his talent, he'd surely poach a huge share of my customers. The moment I finally reached the peak of my career might just get pushed back. I texted him straight out. Good evening. May I ask why you want to sell fried rice? Miles must have been on his phone because he answered almost instantly. I'm serious. Is that all right? Please go ahead and tell me. I've seen how many people buy your fried rice. You can't handle it all on your own. From competing with me, he'd suddenly become someone helping me out. I decided to change my angle. Don't you have a job? Stable job. Are you short on spending money? Not short. And as though afraid I didn't believe him, he added, Fat paycheck, plenty of savings. Then he kept going. I've got a house and a car, and I don't owe anyone a cent. I sat quiet for a moment. Teasing me? And I'd actually believed it. Young man, joke however you like, but you're only hurting yourself. I'm not joking. I sent him a sleeping sticker and typed, I'm already asleep. All right, tomorrow I'm away on business. When I'm back, we'll talk more about the fried rice, okay? Then, kidding, you don't have to take it so seriously. When I didn't reply, Miles seemed a little at a loss and sent a last message. Good night, sweet dreams. But I lay there staring at our chat, and I couldn't fall asleep all night. I got up, restless, and opened the laptop I hadn't touched in ages. On the screen was a design I'd once poured endless heart into. Damn it, this free and easy fried rice life. And here I was actually missing the nights I'd stayed up building proposals. I snapped the laptop shut, got up, rinsed rice, and started prepping ingredients for the stall. A few days passed, and Miles really did stay away from my cart. He didn't come, but Zoe did. She said she hadn't gotten to eat my egg fried rice last time and was still craving it. Didn't Miles say you don't like fried rice? Don't listen to his nonsense. When I was 3, he was only 4. He's a prodigy, sure, but even his memory isn't that good, Zoe said scornfully. Then her voice cut off abruptly. Wait, did you just say Miles? Oops, slip of the tongue. I was still working out how to explain when Zoe reached her own conclusion. You really did go to Westbrook High. And from that, she even dredged up my name. You're June Whittaker from class 2, aren't you? Aren't you? Aren't you? She got suddenly wildly excited. Aha, it really is you. Now that she'd recognized me, I couldn't be bothered to invent excuses. It was just that our old connection wasn't nearly close enough to explain this level of excitement. Then I transferred away. When you asked me yesterday, it just slipped my mind. Zoe's mind moved fast, and she gave me a sly little grin. Oh, really? You don't remember going to Westbrook High, but you remember the name of a boy a year ahead of you? Interesting. I protested at once. I absolutely do not have any feelings for Miles. I never said you had feelings for Miles. No, I mean, Zoe beamed. Don't explain. Maybe you do. Contempt. Blatant contempt. I said nothing more and just cooked her rice quickly. Before she left, Zoe took down my phone number, and whenever she had a free moment after that, she'd call or text. Oddly enough, she'd talk to me about her brother's heartbreaking teenage love story. She said her brother had been the golden boy of his school, that he'd fallen for a girl at first sight, and that although he'd finally managed to talk to her, the girl never so much as glanced his way. So he'd pined for her in secret and planned to confess after his college entrance exams. But the girl vanished. Her brother searched for her for years and never found her, and to this day he was still single, all alone. Then Zoe said, June, you and my brother's first love don't just look alike. You're like the same person. Maybe it was because of that resemblance, but Zoe even invited me to a party with her friends. I'm not exactly a shy person, but I didn't know a single one of Zoe's friends, so I declined. Zoe, though, was so insistent, carrying on like she'd die if I didn't come, that I finally gave in, figuring I'd give myself a day off while I was at it. Only when I got there did I understand why Zoe had been so eager. She genuinely wanted me to be her sister-in-law. Zoe pointed at a heavily made-up girl on the sofa. See that one over there? Her name's Bianca Cross. She's been chasing my brother for almost half a year. He turned her down, but she just won't give up. I wasn't especially interested in other people's private business. I sipped my tea and answered to be polite. That's nice. Nice how? I've got no use for her. What I want is to set you up with my brother. She wanted me to be her brother's first love stand-in? I nearly choked on my tea. There's really no need for that. Wait till my brother gets here. You'll see whether there's a need. Good Lord. So this was a matchmaking party. I was about to find an excuse to slip away when Bianca Cross came over and asked Zoe, Isn't Miles coming with you? Zoe answered with a blank face. He'll be along later. Miles was coming too? Bianca's face lit right up. Before I could even sit with that, her gaze had landed on me. Who's this? Hello, I'm June Whittaker. Zoe grinned from ear to ear and finished for me. And my brother's girlfriend. Bianca and I were both stunned. Bianca's pretty face nearly shattered. That can't be. He's obviously still single. Oh, Zoe added, as if it were nothing. Future girlfriend. I've never even met your brother, so how am I his future girlfriend? Faster than a lightning strike. I tugged at Zoe. Don't talk nonsense. Bianca's shattered expression pulled itself back together a little. Zoe, you're joking, aren't you? Why would I joke? My brother and June are a two-way secret crush, reunited after years apart, both leaning toward each other. All that's left is to spell out the relationship. Zoe winked at me, smug. This was all her imagination. But going by her experience reading 1,000 romance novels, she was sure it was 80–90% certain. 80–90%? It was completely absurd, is what it was. Bianca's eyes had gone red. You're lying to me. I've never once heard your brother mention her. Lying or not, you can ask my brother yourself in a minute. As she said it, her eyes looked ready to murder me. I was about to explain myself to her when Bianca's face suddenly changed, and she called out excitedly toward a point behind me. Miles! My heart clenched. Before I could turn around, Zoe stood up and called out even louder. "Over here! June and I are right here!" Oh no, this was far too awkward. I shouldn't stick around another second. I picked up my bag and used the restroom as an excuse to make a fast escape. I just left my seat, heading to the left, when Bianca came at me too. She deliberately stepped a beat faster than me, but our feet clipped each other, and we both lost our balance and toppled in opposite directions. Behind Bianca was the dining table. It caught her, and after a wobble she steadied herself, her murderous glare no longer hidden at all. Behind me there was nothing. My hand flailed once in empty air, and just as I braced myself to hit the floor, quick footsteps came from behind me, my wrist was suddenly caught, and a force pulled me back into a warm pair of arms. "Ooh, I'm shipping it!" Zoe's delighted cheer rang out first. My breath stopped. Hadn't I just fallen right into her brother's arms? And Miles? Surely he'd seen that too. I scrambled upright, stepped back, didn't even dare look at whoever had caught me, threw out a thank you, and hurried off. But in that one glance, why did Zoe's brother and Miles give me the exact same feeling? Out of the restaurant, I did my best to calm down. Then the automatic doors behind me slid open again, and a low voice, threaded with a hint of a smile, dropped down onto the top of my head. "You haven't changed a bit." I gave a start. Miles had come out too? I forgot to even ask what he meant by haven't changed. "Where are you headed? Let me take you home." "Zoe's still inside." "She's not on your way." He paused. "And neither are we, right? Where are you going?" "The Glenwood Apartments." He raised an eyebrow. "We're very much on the same way." It wasn't until Miles opened the car door for me that my foggy head cleared. The question was never whether it was on the way. I quickly shut the door again. I just remembered I have to be somewhere. We're not on the same way after all. Goodbye. And with that, I turned to run, only for my wrist to be caught. June. Miles said my name slowly. My heart trembled. I glanced sideways at him. He looked back at me, unhurried, the corner of his mouth curving up. "You really think you can run away this time?" That Miles knew my name didn't surprise me too much. Zoe had probably mentioned it, but for him to leave his girlfriend behind and drive home a woman he'd only met a handful of times, no matter how I turned it over, made no sense. And yet, Miles quickly cleared up my confusion. He really did want to sell fried rice. On the drive, Miles looked over at me. "About the fried rice, can we talk about it now?" I stared at him, shocked. His expression was serious, without a trace of teasing. "You really want to sell fried rice?" Unless you stop selling?" I sat there a long while and still couldn't work out the logic. If I didn't sell, he wouldn't sell. If I sold, he'd sell. Was he deliberately setting himself against me? I decided to leave the logic alone for now and just tried to talk him out of it. "Miles, with a career as successful as yours?" His long fingers tapped the steering wheel, and he raised an eyebrow at me. Being looked at like that left me flustered. Zoe had already told him about us, so calling him by name was fine. I looked away, embarrassed. Wait, that huge pink water bottle sitting in the cup holder. Why was he using that? Pushing past the awkwardness, I kept on, sincere. "You really don't need to do this kind of grueling work. Selling fried rice at night is exhausting. You're only open in the evenings, 4-5 hours. But during the day, you've got another 4 or 5 hours of prep. And when it's busy, you're on your feet the whole time. Selling fried rice really isn't a long-term plan." The more I talked, the more sorry I felt for myself. But somehow my heartfelt advice only became the reason Miles dug in harder. "Seems like I really do need to sell fried rice then." He glanced at me. "You've got free time after work?" "Not exactly free, but I can spare some time for it." "So you've made up your mind to take on this side job?" This man was stubborn as a mule. "Fine, sell your fried rice. But not on Maple Street, all right?" "Why?" Because you think your fried rice is delicious. The traffic had cleared. Too lazy to keep arguing with him, I just told him to focus on driving. Miles looked at me intently and in the end only answered with a single word. Okay. After 9 at night, the crowds thinned out and there weren't many people left buying fried rice. I sat on my plastic stool with my phone, sending out job applications. There was no other choice. Miles could show up to sell fried rice any day now. Rather than get outcompeted by him, the smart move was to quietly retreat early. I'd been at this for months, and now, staring at these dense walls of job listings, my head spun and my eyes swam. I didn't want to look anymore. My phone suddenly rang. It was Zoe. She sounded flustered. Did anyone come give you trouble today? Today, Bianca saw the video of you selling fried rice on Maple Street. Oh, well, so she saw it. But I have a feeling she's going to come make trouble for you. Couldn't you just explain to her that you and my brother don't even know each other? The other end of the line was clearly worked up. So, to keep from getting harassed by a rival, you'd heartlessly claim you don't even know my brother? I misjudged you, my friend. You're overdoing the drama. Boss, 3 of us here. 3 customers arriving at the cart cut off my conversation with Zoe. I looked over, and when I saw who was standing across from me, I blurted it out without thinking. Bianca. Zoe was thrilled. I already called my brother. Don't be scared. Honestly, I'm not scared. Tell your brother not to come. Thanks. He'll be on the battlefield in 5 minutes. I rubbed my forehead, shoved the phone in my pocket, and picked up my spatula. I was just about to put on my professional smile when a sneer came from across the cart. It's her, another girl chimed in. What she got compared to our Bianca, a fried rice seller? How could Miles ever like someone like that? My hand froze on the spatula. Right. How could Miles ever like me? Hold on. Miles? Shouldn't the name that came up here be Zoe's brother? Bianca signaled the others to hush. Don't say that. She's an internet sensation now. Netizens are even saying she graduated from some prestigious university. No way, graduated from a prestigious university and sank to selling fried rice on the sidewalk? She's probably faking the whole honor student thing to go viral. Who knows what school she really went to? This rice probably isn't even edible. Cheap oil and moldy rice, I bet. These internet sensations will do anything for money. They saw me as a rival and wanted to mock me a bit to vent. That much I could understand. But why the personal attacks? I was about to pull out my diploma and my food safety license to show them, but it felt like that still wouldn't be enough for a proper first strike. Right then, I hated how bad I was at comebacks. I was so frustrated. June. A voice, warm and steady. My heart suddenly pounded hard. There, in the orange glow of the streetlight, a tall man stood beside the fried rice cart, straight-backed, his bearing elegant, his face handsome. He bent slightly and smiled at me. I'm here. Good evening. Miles. Bianca's expression changed on the spot, her voice going sweet, as if she hadn't just been mocking me with her friends a moment ago. I only grew more confused. Wasn't Bianca chasing after Zoe's brother? Miles straightened and shot Bianca a cold glance. I never cared to learn a thing about you before. Now it seems not wasting the time was the wise choice. It was the first time I'd seen Miles look so cold. It was probably Bianca's first time too. She asked, startled, "What do you mean?" Bianca's friend, sensing the mood had gone wrong, tried to smooth it over. What a coincidence running into each other here. You two really are fated. It's no coincidence. Miles's eyes swept over them and came to rest on me, and the coldness vanished, going gentle as water. I came here only for June. My heartbeat sped up. What did that mean? Miles's attitude left Bianca both furious and humiliated. Miles, explain yourself. Miles gave me a reassuring smile first, then looked back at her. If you're willing to apologize to June, I'll consider using gentler words. Bianca clenched her fists. Why should I apologize to her? Miles let out a cold snort. Right. Expecting an apology from someone this ill-mannered and low class really is wishful thinking. It was, well, but fancy meals had fired the comeback for me, and it felt like drinking an ice-cold cola in the middle of summer. Wonderfully refreshing. The one on the receiving end, though, was another story. Miles, you'd humiliate me over a lowly fried rice peddler? Bianca's eyes went red, and she nearly screamed. The person you like is this kind of cheap little sensation who earns money by chasing attention? Why would Bianca say that? The doubt inside me slowly hardened into a thought I couldn't quite believe. I pulled out my phone to check the time. 5 minutes had passed. Could Miles be Zoe's brother? Miles spoke, slow and even. First, June earns her money with her own 2 hands. Second, no work is high or low, noble or lowly. Third, and this is the most important, he paused, and when he spoke again, it was with an undeniable firmness. I like her. Do you have a problem with that? The proud look on Bianca's face couldn't hold. She turned and fled in a rage, her friend chasing after her. Something caught fire in my mind. What are you saying? Who is she? Miles turned to me, his deep eyes holding 1,000 shades of tenderness. And what about you? Do you have a problem with it? While Miles waited in silence, I finally found a scrap of a thought again. What's your relationship with Zoe? Miles seemed not to understand why I'd bring up Zoe at a moment like this, but he answered patiently all the same. We're siblings. One of us took our father's surname, the other, our mother's. My eyes must have gone wide. Then, one after another, the things Zoe had said surfaced. My brother secretly loved someone for a very long time. He searched for her for years and never found her. You look exactly like the girl in my brother's dreams. So the person Miles secretly loved was me? I dug my fingernails into my palm, and my voice shook as I asked, Miles, that day when you said you wanted to sell fried rice with me, that's what you meant, wasn't it? Miles gave a slight frown. Yes. And suddenly the answer was crystal clear. Miles liked me. My nose stung. All at once I remembered years ago. Miles is a teenage boy speaking as the representative of the top students. Your choices and your efforts decide who you become. If we can't be great, at the very least, don't waste your time on meaningless things. But you're the one who once said not to waste time on meaningless things. He curved his lips, and his amber eyes gave off a captivating light. Fried rice is meaningless, but anything done with you becomes meaningful. Boom. Fireworks burst open across the sky and bloomed into brilliant flowers of light. So it was true, wasn't it? I'd once wanted to become someone better because I admired him. And he too, through countless days and nights, had looked for every way to get close to me. Miles took a step nearer. So, will you let me sell fried rice with you? I gave a faint tug at the corner of my mouth. No. His shoulders dropped. He looked disappointed. I laughed and reached out to wrap my arms around him. I've got a new direction now. From now on, I'll only cook fried rice for you, and no one else. And along with the buried feelings of all those years finally coming to light, there was still a dream from my teenage years left to make real. Miles, I want to shine in the field I worked so hard for. I want to become your equal. Miles went stiff. I looked up and smiled at him. Of course, in return, you're only allowed to cook fried rice for me, and no one else. He pulled me tightly into his arms. Now, here's how it looked from Miles's side. That day, one of Miles's roommates was scrolling through videos and landed on one titled, Gorgeous University Student Becomes the Fried Rice Fairy. He was about to swipe past it when something jogged his memory. For years now, Miles had kept asking around about a certain high school classmate, a girl, and had begged them all to tell him the instant they ever ran into anyone who looked like her. So the roommate casually forwarded it along. Miles, take a look. Does this fried rice fairy look like the girl you've been searching for? The roommate waited and waited, but Miles never answered. When he finally checked their group chat, he found Miles asking the others a question. If you were going to meet the person you like, what should you wear? The group chat detonated with every kind of answer, and in the end, dress neatly won by a landslide. 2 days after that, Miles was in the group again. How do you fry rice so it's perfect in color, aroma, and taste? Quick, it's urgent. And sometime later still, Miles asked one more thing. I need suggestions for a good date spot. Fast, fast, it's really urgent now. Thanks, everyone. Thank you all for listening.